Well, my kindergartner has been expelled or suspended from school more times than I have in my entire life.
Which is more than one.
Which for me
3.
would be 0. So
Yeah, me 0. I'm 0.
You don't count. You're at home.
Straight A student.
You're homeschooled. It doesn't count.
Everything
pet.
is great. Yeah, people love me. They really do.
Yes, they do.
Especially teachers.
Yeah, it's hot for.
It's hot. The hotter the better.
Go back to kindergarten and getting expelled for the 3rd time.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Truthache.
Where have you come back from?
So I went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and spent 2 or 3 days there. Then went to Newcastle, England, northern England, northeast part of the island, and spent a week or so there, and then went back to Edinburgh because that's where our plane was flying.
The first thing
from.
people want to know, did you drink peaty scotch?
You know what? I
don't even know
had
what that
a
is.
little bit. Well, scotch is peaty,
Yes, but there is peaty scotch.
like extra peaty.
Yes.
But peaty scotch is also just scotch. But then there's stuff that's like stronger,
Oh my God.
like Lagavulin
Yes,
is one of them,
thank
like
you.
really, really peaty.
So look at you. Did you have
But
some?
no, I didn't. No, I
didn't.
I had one old fashioned that was a Scotch based old fashioned,
Oh, nice.
and it was great. It was good, but not great.
Got it.
Not because of the Scotch, but because of the way it was made.
And for our listeners, they're going to want to know, why were you there?
Vacation. No, I was literally there for vacation, but what ended up happening is my 26-year-old daughter, who has started the process of migrating there, first by becoming a student who is engaged, and then is going through the process of looking for that permanent residency. She said, since you guys are coming over here, why don't we just do our wedding then? Because they want to do a small wedding.
Right.
So, and Dad, will you officiate the wedding?
It's even better. It's a 2-for-1 deal.
So
Did you wear a kilt?
I did not, but the groom did.
He did?
The groom wore a kilt.
So he's gay. I'm kidding.
Wait, did you wear
I'll ask him.
I'm gay, so it's okay to say. You can't say
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
Viewer at home.
That's right.
Did you wear salvage denim?
I did, yeah.
of course
well, actually, to the wedding,
Salvage denim?
No,
Yeah,
I was
salvage
wearing
As
my.
opposed to freshly made.
right, Levi's or anything other than salvage denim. Go on, sorry.
No, I did not wear selvage to the wedding.
Okay.
I was wearing black jeans because that is the life hack for dress pants that aren't dress pants.
That's a fact.
And then I was wearing a Scottish tweed blazer
Wait.
I bought there.
I thought you clearly articulated a few weeks ago with our other guest that the black pant for corporate America and used car sales would be the Lululemon pant or athleisure pant.
No,
Black jeans.
no, you've got that all wrong.
I don't think so. I think if you go back and listen to that, you were like, that is the epitome of ickiness.
No, we were talking about the plaid jacket, the plaid suit.
Correct. The used
Is
car
the
salesman.
old style used car salesman,
Right.
and then the modern version is the Lululemon
There
stuff.
you go. Right.
Right,
Yeah,
Lululemon is the plaid.
Used car
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
In other words, it's not good.
Oh, it's not good.
I
It's
know.
terrible.
I know. Daniel's been waiting to say this to me for years.
Are you a Lululemon?
You always wear it better. You never look like a basic salesman.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You look like an extra.
And plus
Amazing
now,
salesman.
you look more like
killing me.
you're selecting colors that are like seasonally appropriate, which I think
I
is interesting. Most people don't
Yeah.
think of that anymore. It's not like
You don't wear
normal,
pastel blue in winter. Got it.
right?
Oh no.
This episode was fun.
I have
because we
flannels
talked
I will
about
not wear in the fall or the winter.
of
I have
course.
flannels I wear in the spring
that.
and summer.
Yeah.
Well, you're gay. You're allowed to do that.
Well,
You're going to be better at that.
You're fashionably sensible.
Yeah, I'm, not.
No, you
I'm
don't.
getting
Look at
better.
those glasses. Those are fashionably sensitive.
These are fashionably sensitive. Actually, they
Those
are
are nice.
big, and I have had to switch to progressives.
I had to too.
Oh, you got plenty of room for all the different lens types.
Yes, so I can do this
but
and
you look
this.
celebrity-esque with those.
I appreciate that.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So let's talk about space.
Oh boy.
Did you guys see that Artemis 2, they had their 10-day trip around the moon?
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah,
Great.
to the dark side.
In 2026, we did that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about time.
In 10 years from now, we're going to make a movie about how we didn't do it, and it was just fictitious. Very similar.
Well,
to how we went to the
I
moon
told
first time.
Daniel, I am not convinced.
Are you not seriously? You're not convinced?
I am I would say 65, whatever the other end side of that is. 35.
I would say, approximately 35.
35?
Yeah.
70-30.
Yeah, okay,
that we
so-
did not go.
That we did not.
You're
go.
70% that we didn't.
I'm 70% we didn't.
Are you? What are you, Daniel?
They faked the Apollo moon landings.
You know what? I have been on the 100% that we did
Yes.
for most of my life, and now I have an openness to
The possibility.
the possibility of it being faked.
I'm with him. I've always been 100%, and of late, suddenly I'm like, well, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah,
And I don't know where that came from.
but
You're old.
Yeah, true. That is true. Yeah.
But I think that there is a lot of there's a lot of reasons to discount the idea that it was faked.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few.
You have to dig for those,
Yeah,
that the scaffolding of that story.
yeah,
But you don't have to try too hard to believe it.
yeah.
And that is the problem
Mm.
with things that people believe.
That's the problem with everything. Yeah,
It's easy to believe what everybody believes.
yeah, yeah. I had this conversation with my nephew coming back from March Madness. We were down at Belterra because we didn't go to Vegas this year. Dad, brother, nephews.
Yeah.
And my nephew, who's going through his white coat ceremony tomorrow at the University of Pittsburgh,
Oh.
says to me, we have tailbones because we've evolved. And I look back at him as I'm driving the car, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you telling me you believe in evolution, as in man has evolved from fill in the blank? And he's like, yeah.
Are you telling me that you don't?
I'm telling you, I don't believe that there is a choreographic or chronological piece where you can say, this stopped and man started. There's nothing there that exists. You can make leaps to say this happened, and then 1,000 years later this happened, right? But I don't
And
believe
then
it's
people
this,
are filling in
Right,
1,000 plus
right,
years or
right,
a million
right.
years, whatever.
I just don't believe that am I saying that correct?
Chronological.
Chronological order of
Choreographed.
Thank you. Let's get all these words out so
let's
we can.
let's
Go
clarify
ahead.
this. Do you, so that I can understand your position,
Sure.
do you believe that there is some form of evolution taking
I
place?
absolutely believe in evolution. I don't believe man evolved from
Like an
fill in the
amoeba.
blank. Correct.
Okay.
Maybe macro versus micro.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
So
I was going to say that I think that you and I are very similar, although I am one who believes that we were seeded on this planet by an interdimensional or extraterrestrial being.
Right.
You believe in Jesus.
Right. But we both believe. but
you think he's crazy.
but it's the same story.
It really is.
It really is. It really is, right?
You have the sky god
Right.
that came down and created man, and then you have the sky god's underling that gave man special knowledge. Then that being was cast down.
It's a great sci-fi story, isn't it?
If you
It is.
if you
It
guys
really
read
is.
the apocryphal Old Testament
I have.
stuff, like
Man.
there's some crazy stuff there. If you're to take the writings
Word by
the
word.
way that most Christians would take
Yeah.
the
Like there's
biblical
one scene
writings.
where they think that a woman gave birth without having sex.
Yeah, that's-
and they named her Mary.
oh man.
Oh my god! So we had this conversation for 2 hours driving back. Where were we going with this? Oh, we were talking belief.
Yeah.
So we were talking about belief. Daniel, you couldn't be more true in that once you believe something, whatever it is you believe, it is really difficult to transition that belief, or to even have an open mind to think differently, right? And we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Politics. When you believe, that's it. Like, the roadblocks are up, the guardrails are in place, the wall has been built. You are not changing my mind. I'm right, you're wrong, and that's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Until the story changes so drastically,
you would
and
think
significantly. And I think we're seeing it right now with the president.
I hope you're right.
Megyn Kelly,
Chris,
Candace Owens,
yeah.
Alex Jones,
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson,
Yes.
all of those folks.
Tucker-
Joe Rogan, like they're all,
Well, Rogan's been there for a while,
Yeah.
but Tucker Carlson, I haven't kept
Tucker
up. Is he now
Carlson
off the bandwagon?
is pissed about Iran. Pissed.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not keep up.
I mean,
with
I think
him.
the crack started with Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? How is this America first?
How
Right.
Lori said to me the other day, how in the hell do we have a sitting president that's been convicted of rape, sexual harassment, tax evasion, fraud, and he's still a sitting president and has not been impeached? I said, well, he has been impeached. I said, what you're really saying is
He hasn't
been
been
removed from
Yeah.
office.
Well,
Why is it not? Why do people not care?
Well, thank you. And why has he not been removed?
but it's easy to come to the conclusion that works for you,
Thank
because what people that support him say is he was unfairly targeted.
Yeah, he was railroaded.
And there is enough as a person who is motivated to believe the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I can see very clearly that a lot of the cases and action against him were absolutely politically motivated.
Sure.
So one side is going to say all those, charges were politically motivated. Even the judges were politically motivated, and so on. And then the other side is going to say he's a crook, he's a criminal. And both of those things might be partially true.
Well, they can both be true at the same
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he sticks
And
his
see, I
watchdog
would-
on it.
I would go the opposite way with Biden. I think that Biden and Merrick Garland they should have nailed him to the wall for January 6th.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Incited that stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot that too.
You thought
Inciting
about
the riot.
I mean, and how about
In Biden's defense, he didn't even know he was president for the second half. So, but
You're right.
but also a serious comment on that is I think that Biden was trying to not come across as a political hack.
yeah, he was right. I would agree.
And so he pulled back on that and let Merrick Garland handle it the way that he wanted to handle it, who also was trying to be a little bit apolitical. So therefore, they're going through all these hoops to draw it out and make it be very
in
meticulous
that kind
and all
of
that
case,
kind of stuff.
it is weeks become months, months become years.
That's right.
Blah, blah, blah. Here we are in a war with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
That I heard someone today say, former CIA guy that's really like YouTube, TikTok famous said, since Reagan they've been trying to get the United States to bomb Iran, Israel,
Yeah.
and everyone said no except for
This
Donald
one.
Trump, except for the almost 80-year-old man
Mm-hmm.
who has nothing but sycophants around him.
If you were to poll the average American and ask them why we're at war with Iran, do you think you would get a straight answer or the
don't know
truthful
why we're
answer?
at
Would people know?
Well, let me rephrase that. Do you think that they know why Trump decided to go to war with Iran?
I don't think Trump knows why Trump.
Well, I agree with that. But
Yeah.
what he said as to why, do you think people would actually say
I think
that?
a lot of people know, because as much as the reasons are muddy, the specific reasons, strategic reasons are muddy, the general reasons are clear, which is we can't let
Nuclear.
Iran have a nuke.
Nuclear, right.
But all you have to do to create that narrative as a president that wants to go to war with a country is keep talking about a country developing nuclear, whatever. You could say a year in advance of your war, you could do a targeted strike against their supposed nuclear capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you've started to create the case for they have nukes. We need to do something about this, or they're developing the technology or whatever. And so I don't think that he was thinking ahead like that, but I think that is all you have to do.
I don't think he's capable of thinking ahead like that. But I don't think most people understand why we're at war. The premise as to why we're at war.
I think we are at war because of Isaac and Ishmael.
Yeah.
I think that we as a country are incredibly
Amen.
young.
It's been going on for 3,000 years,
Right.
and it's going to go on for another
Well,
3,000.
So I did a lot of time. I spent a lot of time when I was in ministry school. Most of my research was about the historical, sociological context of the ancient Near East, and for them, I think that a lot of the dynamics that I studied are still in play of the group culture, the group mentality. In the United States, we see each other as individuals, especially white people.
Oh, yeah.
We are, we want to be known for our merits. We are not tied to any larger group unless we choose it. And that is completely different in the Middle East, where you want to bring honor to your group. You don't want to bring shame to your group. And you will not let others bring shame to your group. And I think what we've done is very dangerous and very hard to get out of, especially with Iran, where we killed their leader in his home with a bomb and then keep taunting them. We leave them no outs to restore their own honor. To restore honor to themselves.
And to people in the Irani culture, it is an honor to be martyred. Mm-hmm. Like that's in their doctrine. Sure. So if they die at war, they win.
That's right.
And if they survive war, they win.
Yep.
But being bombed in your sleep at your home
and letting it go, you don't win.
That is not an honorable death.
Yeah.
As what I would understand it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not part of that culture, and I'm not an expert in it. I'm just things that I read and researched and all that. But.
Lars and I we bought a 5 play package for IRT, and this past week, 2 weeks ago, we went, and it was an Iranian classroom learning to speak English. You want to talk about ironic and poignant. It is a teacher in Iran teaching Iranian students who are incredibly well educated. One's a doctor that is trying to learn how to speak English to get the green card to go practice medicine and or fill in the blank these other four individuals. There were 2 or 3 points in that play that really caught everybody. One was, when you speak a foreign language, you lose yourself because you're not able to laugh, because you're so focused on a new language that you cannot, in your mind, figure out how to be funny or to say something funny or even to come across funny. So this medical student who had passed her MCATs in Iran, who wants to get to America or somewhere in Europe to go practice, said, I can't even be myself because I'm trying to learn this language, and I'm angry for trying to have to learn this language because that's all that's being asked of me. And that kind of crushed my soul when I heard that. I thought, wow, I can't even imagine. And then there was a grandmother that was having to learn English because her son was in America, and his wife and he would not let her come visit her grandson unless she spoke English and spoke to him in English. And it was just heartbreaking. It was an hour and 45 minutes. There were no breaks, and it did not need a break because it was fast and furious. And the fact that we're at war with Iran, I mean, it's just pure coincidence that this is all going on at the same time. And it was not lost on the audience. It was packed, and they got a standing ovation. They deserved it. When they spoke Farsi, they spoke in perfect English. When they spoke in English, as in a student, they spoke in broken English, which I found fascinating. And the very end, the student, the A student, not the doctor, and the teacher spoke in Farsi to one another, and none of us know what the hell they said. And it was a 2-minute dialogue, and you could see the tears. It was like, wow, this is crazy. To your point, Chris, and I share that with everyone because it was ironic that this is happening and we were there. But to your point, I don't
Ironic, you mean?
Ironic, thank you. I don't think we're never going to understand what it's like over there. We're not from there. We're not going to solve that problem.
No.
That problem has existed, and I'm not exaggerating, it's existed for life, for eternity. It's been there, 3,000 plus years. To think one man's going to come in and solve the problem by dropping bombs or annihilating a nation, that's not going to solve anything.
I also would throw that into every time we try to wade into peace talks.
Oh yeah.
This is not our.
Right.
I mean, the only
Right.
reason we're involved is because of oil, and now Donald Trump's ego.
Well, I would say, I've always taken pride in America being the gatekeeper of peace for the world, because we are the strongest nation, meaning that we have the ability to ward off or hold off. Now, I'm vastly disappointed that hasn't happened in Ukraine. I'm vastly disappointed in what we've done in Iran. I wish we would have done what we're doing in Iran to help with Ukraine. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not stand up
Rwanda.
for those? Or oh my God, there's 20 that we could name.
I have such a hard time with that, especially seeing who we are now.
Me too.
Because I think that it is very difficult to say with any seriousness that we are the gatekeepers of peace and light and all of that. We're the only nation that's dropped a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
We use our muscle and might to get the resources we want, and we have. That's who we are.
Yeah.
We had to drop the news.
We didn't have to drop the nuke.
We did. That's, I think
We
that's
didn't have
that's worthy of debate.
would Jesus
But-
drop the nuke?
No.
Who would Jesus kill?
Nobody. I was being cheeky when I said.
No.
I was being cheeky when I said we had to.
Yeah.
I say the cheekiness is we had to demonstrate that we had the ability to do it, to become the superpower that we are today, to become the peacekeeper.
I think we had to demonstrate we had the lack of morality and
Yeah.
conscience
Yeah. Well, it's
necessary to drop that kind of.
well. If you watch that movie Oppenheimer, I mean, oh my God.
I think
It was, but
know,
it was. But can you imagine? You're the scientist behind that.
Yeah.
Your creation wipes out.
We
Man,
didn't,
brutal.
because we were not alive in that time. We might have looked at it differently if we were, but I would say that it is very conflicting, that whole story of should we have bombed Japan or not.
It is.
And it's because, a world war of the size and scope that was taking place at that time in the 40s was enormous, huge death and constant death all the time, and multiple nationalities were dying. And it was, we were brought into the war because, Japan wanted to strategically engage us in the war because of where we were positioned on the planet. And because, of whatever reasons that they felt that it was to their advantage to have us participating. Because we were isolationists more or less at the time. And so to end the war, we decided to end 100, 200,000 lives.
Yeah.
And in one, afternoon.
Think about that, though. If you're born in the early 1900s, 1920s, you went through 2 world wars, a worldwide depression, and you didn't understand what life could be like until you were in your 70s or 80s, meaning prosperity.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, there was none.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. So to your point, Daniel, you're right when you say we weren't there during that time. I know we would think differently or feel differently.
I think that right now is the same.
Yeah,
type
that's
of
what I was going to
sure
say.
does feel like it.
I was going to say, so how would we look at this scenario today?
We have concentration camps that we fund, support, and send people to.
Yep.
There is no way around it. The gas chamber is not the end. Like, that's the end.
It's not right.
That was not all the concentration camps were. We send
Right.
people to disgusting, deplorable, inhuman conditions. They are physically assaulted. They are sexually assaulted. We do nothing about it.
And this is just because
what
of-
do you do as an ordinary citizen?
Just because of immigration,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just talking about ICE. We
Yeah.
have masked. We have masked federal agents in our streets. Not always killing them, and that's very rare that they kill people. But they kill people. They don't have any accountability, or at least they didn't.
Right.
And what do we do as normal human beings? I'm protecting my family. I'm keeping my head down.
Yeah.
And it sucks to say that.
Yeah. I think that's fair, though.
Yeah. I have thought about that many times, about the parallels. This is a very different time than the, pre-Nazi Germany or mid-Nazi Germany when Hitler was in power. But I see too many parallels to ignore, because I think that things like fascism and whatever you want to call that doesn't have a political name. Things like that come in cycles. Power comes in cycles. You have people in power that are trying to create a better place for people, and then at some point that power corrupts, and then they're trying to amass more power. Even with the way that our power structure is in the United States, with our political system, we have the Democrats and the Republicans. The two parties are constantly trying to amass more power for their party. And if you know anybody, you know that people that are Republican or Democrat look exactly the same. They've just decided to vote a certain way or join a certain party as a politician to win those votes.
Right.
They're just regular people, but we've created these tribes, and they're constantly trying to amass power. And so what we have with Trump is we have that stage of power where it's like, he will kill and destroy people and to continue to gain power, and that he is positioning himself as God.
There is nothing new under the sun when it comes to this topic. It's age old, right? It's Roman. It's Germany.
We are living in. We are living in this fall.
It kind of feels like it sometimes, doesn't it?
I mean, we have the White House threatening the Pope.
I'm so happy to see the Pope come out against all of that nonsense. Yes, and yes, Daniel, you're absolutely right. Power begets power. People will crawl over one another to get that power. They will kill for that power, right? And we're doing that. It's terribly.
Yeah.
It's ick. So thanks for making me feel better on a Friday night.
Yeah,
right.
You
Like,
guys are really dragging me
sunshine.
down, man. It sucks.
Okay,
I bring
so
the joy with us. So let's get back to aliens.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about Skyfire.
I wanted to think about the ways that we might see those things tied together. So we have this whole situation in Iran that right now is also a situation in America. Or, we can distance ourselves from Iran, but it's creating a lot of chaos here in America as well. But what I see it as is conquest. Trump has tried to create control in Venezuela. Iran, if he wasn't so distracted, he'd already be on to Cuba.
Iceland,
because he's already
Cuba,
and Greenland.
I'm sorry.
And he's kind of given up on Greenland for now,
for the moment.
But right now he and our military are incredibly occupied, right? So we're tied up. But if Iran went as fast as Venezuela, we'd be off to the next one. I guarantee it. But
Canada.
But also, what are we doing in space? We call it science and discovery. But why is there a race, a space race? Although, the modern space race is a lot different than the fake one of the 60s.
No, it was a real one.
The race itself.
The race itself was the point. And the only thing that gives me pause about the 60s space race is if it was faked. And I have a hard time believing that foreign agents would not have discovered that and then use it against the United States. But I firmly believe that the reason that we won, one of the reasons we won the Cold War is because we were the first people to land on the moon.
We got there, yeah.
We got there first, which shaped everything else.
It's kind of like that atomic bomb.
Yeah.
So
we had to win.
So there's a certain amount of conquest taking place in space because...
Well,
any human, any country wants to have control over the moon.
There's a particular individual, actually there are two, but there's only one that's really doing it. That is not a government. It's an individual that is chasing space with his own money.
The alien human hybrid, also known as Elon Musk.
That guy. He's probably been more, in the last 15 years, if not 20, more prevalent in that chase than any government
or any country.
But at some point, there's going to be property and
Perhaps.
land staked out on the moon.
Perhaps. Do you think it'll
I
be
don't
on the
see
moon,
how
or
it
do you
won't
think it'll be somewhere else?
Well, also somewhere else.
Yeah, I
But
think.
the moon's the
I think
closest.
it's Io is the next place.
Yeah, I think
Jupiter's
Mars. The big conquest is Mars. That's what everyone talks about.
Sure, but
But-
you're gonna start with the moon because it's closer.
But what are you going to do up there? You're going to colonize it, or do you think you're going to
Power plants,
Power plants, on the
data centers.
Let's put
data
the
centers.
center.
Let's put data centers. Lower my energy costs.
Think about it.
Can you put
the
data
biggest?
centers up there?
Why not?
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The technology has been, the theories are there.
Shit. Elon's going to be there next year.
Watch the show on Apple
but-
TV For All Mankind.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
That's a super series. I love that series.
I've
It's
dropped
awesome.
off, but the first 3 seasons I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
But think about it. If we continue to progress in the work that we're doing, that NASA's doing to study and get back, man back on the moon again, what are we going to do once it becomes easy to get there more frequently because there's private and public transportation? Here's what will happen. We will claim territory, and then we will put some of our most valuable assets there, which is data centers, because we're, limited in the ways that we can use the land that we have. We're running out of space, hypothetically.
How would you protect the data centers on the moon? How would you protect someone from?
Well, this is the same question that people were asking before they could sail across the ocean without trouble.
Yeah, right.
So you would do the same thing you do today. You just have, faster ships and they go further. And I think that it might be decades away, but I think that there's no reason why there won't be wars related to having control of parts of the moon. And if they discover water, then they're going to, which there's, we understand there to be water, especially on the dark side of the moon. If we discover and access water, we can create fuel, and then we can use that as a base camp to get to Mars.
For all mankind, we've got the Russians against the Americans up there on the moon, right?
Against then the private industry is the third
the third entity that
third
makes itself
entity.
known later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all that.
Yeah. Interesting. That's it. I guess I've just never looked at the moon as territory worth fighting over. I don't.
Why?
Because I don't know what the benefits are.
Is there
That's
a
why.
fuel source up there?
Yeah, I
Is
don't.
there-
Right. That's why
so
I don't know.
Energy is always the animating factor of everything.
Yeah.
So the most important energy assets that we have today is raw power, just for powering everything that we do. Literally everything that we do depends on some kind of energy supply. Electricity, oil for fuel in vehicles, flying or
Do we
driving,
go with
whatever.
alternative energy, wind, solar? Do we acknowledge? I'm just.
That can be included.
Yeah.
And then
interesting.
and then the next core asset is data centers, or the ability to manage the massive amounts of data that control everything. Your car needs a data center just to perform its entire features.
Okay, so stay with me on this for a second. Supercomputers back in the 60s were these behemoth pieces of machinery. By the time we get to the year 2000, it's, your laptop is now greater than anything I had back in
my cell phone is bigger. It's just stronger than that whole hotel room.
It gets smaller and it gets bigger. Right?
Yeah.
So do you think the same will be true with data centers?
I do. That's one of the things that I always say as a positive, my bullish view on how the whole race to build all these data centers is going to turn out. And
It's like the VCR.
the AI worries that everybody has. I'm not really a doomer. I want to be alert to some of the risks and not ignore them, because I think if we ignore them, it's more likely that the bad things will happen. But I think that what is going to happen is we're going to figure out how to make more energy efficient. First of all, the power to supply to those places, nuclear power, perhaps, of course. And then we're going to improve the efficiency of the, computers.
Yeah.
Man, you and I just live in such different worlds.
Tell me about your world.
Well, while you're talking, I'm thinking quantum computing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking our government already has the ability to have a vastly superior. I believe our government has.
Do you think we already have the info?
I think we have it all. I think that everything that we have now is 30-year-old technology.
Yeah. Well, God knows the tax code and the tax system is archaic.
Tell me what's the reason why.
I like where you're going with this.
I don't doubt all of this. I'm very open to this theory, but tell me why that 30-year-old technology is kept so under wraps.
I mean, pick your poison. Is it national security? Is to make sure that the Russians and the Chinese don't win? Is it to figure out a way to monetize it? Because it's all through all of our government programs that are black ops, secret, that kind of stuff is all private. It's Lockheed Martin. It's all of those folks. And if you research and listen, like the former CEO of Lockheed Martin is very big into alien tech and extra dimensional beings.
I've read about him.
Skinwalker Ranch and all of those things. And I don't know how much of that I actually believe. I just think it's really interesting. I do think that there has been a concerted effort by the oil industry to suppress alternate forms of energy, including all of Tesla's work.
100%.
But have you heard of the Donald Trump Tesla connection?
No.
That when Tesla died, the FBI sent agents to collect all of his files, and then they patented his
Nikola Tesla?
Yes.
Yeah, the inventor.
Donald Trump's uncle, John Trump, who was the FBI agent
Shut up.
that collected that information.
Really?
Is this true?
And this is factual. And then there's a couple of other connections along those lines that have some people believing that this is a Back to the Future 2 Biff as president situation. And there was a novel where in the late 1800s that was Baron Trump, the Time Traveler.
Baron Trump,
the Time Traveler. And connected to this
shit up.
I cannot. And it's I mean, those
That's
things are
crazy.
facts. And it's all,
Yeah.
Was it Lincoln was shot at the Ford Theater and Ford or
Well, you've heard Joe Rogan's thing on the timing of Lincoln being shot and all the coincidences, the numbers. Have you heard this before?
No.
I'll send it over to you. I had to do a background search on it to find out if it was true, and damn it, it's true. And it just makes your head spin. It's like
those sort of like weird coincidences.
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
right?
and there's like too many of them to be coincidental. There's like a dozen of these things that happen all at the same moment where you go, yeah, that can't be coincidence.
Well, and so for me, the thing that I wanted to mention as well is that in Newsweek reported on this, that now, as of this week, 9 people in the last couple of years who were high government officials allegedly in charge of these black ops, UAP retrieval programs are all missing or dead.
Yeah.
And
that's not coincidence.
And the most recent,
these 2 stories are going in the show notes, just so you know.
they are.
Yeah.
Okay. So the most recent was a guy in, I think it was New Mexico, that was in charge of the UAP retrieval program. He came home. He was supposed to have a doctor's appointment. He left his car keys in his wallet, but he took the gun, and he hasn't been seen by his wife since.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. And Trump and Obama saying there's aliens. Both of them saying that, and Trump saying, I guess we have to declassify it now because Obama said it. And the Age of Disclosure movie with Marco Rubio saying these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you have to be somewhat naive to think that we are the only being in this universe that exists.
What I agree, but what I think is most wild about it is how long that our government has known about all this and been able to keep it mysterious.
Yeah.
What I am really fascinated by, I've always been fascinated by the whole UFO alien thing.
Me too.
But I feel like there's a lot, like you've mentioned, Chris, a lot of the news that is kind of surfacing about this topic. We were talking about technology a few minutes ago, and some people claim that I forget what it is, maybe the transistor or something, was actually technology that was given or acquired by the government well before it was before
Discovered.
anything would have been discovered, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, at some point it just becomes this regular technology, but there's no known source of how that was like actually researched and developed, because it came from aliens.
Well, and like the moon itself is a mystery of how is it perfectly positioned between us and the sun to create these eclipses.
Well, you know how it's perfectly set
Because
like
of
that.
Jesus, right?
That's right. Well, no, it's your universal God that you were talking about,
Right. My universal God.
or your
The alien.
universal alien.
It's a space station.
Yeah, space. You know what
George
I'm
Lucas
talking-
told us.
yeah.
Oh, and that
Lucas.
and that it's hollow as well, because I
Yes.
think we crashed things into
Right.
the moon intentionally, and it rang like a bell for
Yes.
an hour.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Vibrating.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Things that make you go,
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Daniel, what else makes you go, besides the moon and politics of late? Anything?
Well,
Or is that enough?
I don't have time for anything else. So what I had,
Go ahead.
I don't know what to add to that, because I feel like we've only scratched the surface on the things that we've started to talk about.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
We're going to have to dig
in
deeper.
But what I was starting to say earlier is that I think that, there is little bits of conquest happening right here on Earth. I'm trying to take over your side of the table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening all the time. But we have these bigger forms that are happening, with governments trying to acquire new land by force.
Do you buy into the theory that man is, for all the listeners, humankind, that we are seekers, that we are nomads, that we're always off looking for the next? It's part of our DNA. Do you buy into that, or do you think that that's hyperbole?
I don't know how to answer that. I think that it is clear that people are always trying to explore and expand their knowledge.
Yeah.
And what's really great is that a lot of our knowledge is the product of years and years of knowledge. I don't have to know everything, because I have, thousands of years of people discovering things, and now I have shorthand for how to make a wheel. Like, we don't even have to ask those questions, because
I think it's part of who we are as a species to discover new uncharted territories, whether it's Christopher Columbus or the Roman Empire expanding their power, their might of citizenship.
the
beyond.
first step is discovering it. The second step is taking it.
To empower, right?
And
Much like a virus.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
that's the parallel.
That's
the
a very
Matrix line.
state.
we
yeah, it's
are
a very,
a virus.
We are a virus.
Yeah.
We destroy the environments that we go into.
Well, we are. If you accept the fact, if you acknowledge we're a species, we are, and a virus is a species, right? So I can see that.
So when I think about what makes you a person, the answer is there is cells, water, and bacteria. You are hosting millions of species at this time.
True.
And then if you take this to the next level, we are
Yeah.
billions of people hosted by a planet.
Yeah.
And then the solar system is, billions of bodies, planets, stars, whatever.
It's like that.
Not the solar system, the universe.
Every time we have this conversation, or I have this conversation, I think of the movie Men in Black,
yeah.
when they're trying to discover that
At the end,
at the very end,
whereas the universe
the
is inside
universe
the
is
necklace.
inside the pendant, and they take you into the pendant, and it's a whole nother world, but it's so microscopic.
Yeah.
And when you say that, that's what it
And
makes
so
me
I
think of.
think that we are incredibly small,
Oh yeah.
and we feel like we are an individual with a self, but when in fact there is this collectiveness that, in a way, it's a way of looking at how we are less significant, but you can also look at it as we are more significant because we are together, right?
When we're together.
But we're constantly trying to break apart that unity of humanity.
Yeah.
Oh, and coming together than breaking it apart. You know, it is that collective, that is that cycle of birth and then destruction, rebirth.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Very, very true.
And I also believe that our brains are just, and our bodies are just consciousness receivers that
we're essentially antennas, biological antennas.
Biological antennas.
So how do we rationalize the idea that consciousness is a fundamental part of reality that is external to any one individual?
Hold on. I want to back up.
Let's do it.
Do you either of you think that we have untapped brain power within each of ourselves?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. But why are we not able to get in? Why are we not able to tap into all of that power that exists in there? Why can't we get there? What prevents us? Why can some get there and most can't?
I was going to say Christians would say sin, and New Age people would say that you need to align your chakras or whatever.
Yeah,
and,
Well, good answers, by the way.
And the Scientologists would say that your thetans are too high.
Yeah. And yet we've met, each one of us have met somebody in our lifetime that is a rocket scientist. I mean,
I think that there is a something that comes natural, and when you're born, those faculties you don't have to try. You smell, you feel, you sense things, right? And then you develop some skills and you lose some skills as you age, and then. From generation to generation, maybe that changes a little bit at a time, and that's the nature of evolution, the way that a species is changing. And I've listened to this podcast about it's called the Telepathy Tapes. It's a fantastic podcast. I might have mentioned it on the show before, and they highlight these kids that have kids, some of them adults, that have they're autistic, like nonverbal autistic,
right.
And they have the ability, or it appears, and it seems to be unfalsifiably appears that they can read minds.
Yeah, I've seen
speak
this,
telepathically,
right?
And what I suspect is that if that is something that I should consider true, and I'm currently convinced to favor that belief. I haven't chosen to say I'm sure yet, right? But if it is true, then I think that it is probably a capability that we all have.
That's where I'm going with this. So you used the word antenna, and it just made me go there. Like, I think we all have the ability, but why are some antennas capable of receiving that and others aren't?
And I think that it's
The
exercise.
go ahead.
The simple answer is I think that it's having the opportunity to exercise
perhaps
a skill. And when you are blind, you hear better.
Right.
Right.
When you lose a sense,
you become more acute with the other sense.
Yes.
So if you were nonverbal, you would have to compensate for that in some way.
That's ironic though, right? Because what we're saying is if you lose one of your five senses, you become more something. Whereas when you have all five senses, you're just average.
I feel like I need to say something about that's a ableist comment. But
well, but you know what I mean.
I have to, full disclosure, I don't buy into the ableism.
I don't know what it means. I just feel like I needed to say it.
Yeah, I want to say thank
as
you.
the resident gay, you do.
As
need
the
to say
resident
it.
Yeah, I knew it was
I've got to
coming.
say-
That's why I was like,
You know.
But what I guess what I'm really trying to say is if we disable one of our five senses, what we're saying is there's a heightened awareness with the other four senses.
I think you're just forced to use it more.
Correct.
So it's not like a
simple.
supernatural thing. It's
correct.
But
I agree with you.
I'm just saying
I agree.
I have to focus. I have to use my sight.
But that's the irony, right?
Yeah.
Because you have these five great senses that you use every day. In essence, it makes you average.
Diminishes the need to use some of these others. But I also think that there's an exercise of the way that you use your brain, which we use our brain for it to use every sense.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in our body is centrally controlled by our brain in some way. But when you think a certain way, you, as they describe it, carve new neural pathways.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were to do everything that you do with your right hand because you're right-handed, you start doing it with your left, you will increase the capacity of your brain because you're challenging it and exercising it. And there was another example that I thought was a great example. I can't remember what it was, but essentially if you spell words backwards or something like that, you have to think so much harder.
Yeah, you do.
And then it creates this, just like building a muscle, it creates this ability in your brain to think a certain way. And so when I was talking about this with Carrie the other day, it was today, when I stopped believing in God, I no longer had to make excuses for God. And so then...
Excuses in terms of all the unknown?
Yeah, exactly. So the Christian beliefs will often kind of lean into these things like, how do we explain why there's evil?
Right.
How do we explain this? How do we explain that?
If there's all this good, why they're all this bad?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And when I was able to release that belief, I no longer had to make excuses, and I was able to start looking at everything in faith, but also in every other area of life more critically.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I started to be more critical in thinking of literally everything that I experienced. So I was, I just felt like that critical thinking skill is essentially a math skill.
Yeah.
And that mathematic thinking was something that just it advanced in me. I'm not trying to claim some, high expertise or anything, but like that skill grew in my ability to process information.
Makes sense.
And it was purely because I exercised it. And so conversations like this, I love these kinds of conversations because even if we're debating, disagreeing, and seeing things differently, that is how I exercise.
Yeah, same.
And it's one of the things that makes this podcast so great.
Yeah, it's what makes it so fun. I know we're pressed for time, so before we sign off, I sent you a text and I said, I found out that I'm flushing the toilet incorrectly this week. Did you guys know there is an appropriate way to flush the toilet? I'm not kidding around about it.
You close the lid.
Yes, I did not know this. Why do you close the lid, Chris? Do you know why?
All of the germs and bacteria and
Son
stuff.
of a bitch!
Oh,
I was
God.
this old when I found this out.
And you're doing fine.
Yeah, I'm doing great, but I had no idea I was doing it wrong until my niece sent the whole family a group chat thing about this. I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And I had no idea that you're supposed to.
How close is your toothbrush?
It's not. It's not even remotely near.
This is hilarious.
I've never closed the lid to flush the toilet.
This
ever.
is hilarious because when I went to visit my daughter in England, she said the rules at our house is you close the lid to flush the toilet.
Come on. Are you serious?
You take off your shoes when you walk in the house.
I
which,
hate that one.
I've always been a shoes on kind of house.
Me too.
Especially at other people's house. But I also welcome that at my house.
Yes, same.
And they have such a small house that it totally makes sense. As much as it's inconvenient, it makes sense because, it's the weather there. It's muddy.
I get it. Yeah, it's damp,
but,
it's sticky.
So I only partially dispute that one. But the toilet one, I don't care how accurate the science is.
I'm totally
I know
with you.
that
You're alive and
I'm
kick
great.
it. Right.
I feel great.
And
my immune system is strong because of it.
Because you've been inhaling and...
Oh,
Exactly.
stop it.
Yes.
I'm not saying I practiced it. I just knew it.
I did not know anything about I've never even heard about this.
To be honest, it was my deductive reasoning skills. So
you're just a superior being.
You're
Chris.
I'm in tuned with my chakras.
Your antenna's up. No, your antenna's
Your
up.
thetans are pretty low.
You didn't You guys didn't even talk. You're talking about antennas. You didn't talk about Operation Stargate.
I know.
Do you know Operation Stargate? Our
Let's hear it.
government-funded remote viewers that they were
yeah.
highly successful.
Oh yeah, that was real.
And it is still
It's real.
real.
It
It's still
is.
real.
Yeah.
I still believe that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about stupid Pete Hegseth.
No, well, we
Oh
did
my
before you
gosh.
got here.
Can we believe?
No.
Can you imagine being a family member? And I'm not saying this flippantly, that you have to say, my son or daughter or my husband or wife died in Operation Epic Fury. We named it like a 12-year-old playing Fortnite.
I told Daniel, I think he got the shit beat out of him as a kid and he's taking revenge on everybody now.
Yeah.
I really do.
I swear to
Who
God.
acts like this and
I
talks
mean-
like this?
In like the warrior ethos, like, geez Louise.
Just beat your chest the next time
Yeah,
you're up there saying
what was
something.
this? Like, we're trying to go back to the Middle Ages again,
Yeah.
where the only value that someone had is if they were a warrior. Like that is such bullshit.
It is.
I feel like Conquest is that whole thing that is they're trying to make it popular again, to destroy people, to make something that is lethal,
to make it okay.
and to make it okay.
I want to know when it was okay to be a world leader of any country and start. Well, that's not a fair statement. Let me qualify that. To be a world leader of a country that believes in peace first, or the gatekeeper to peace for the universe, to start talking about annihilating a country.
And their whole civilization and their
he's
powers.
the first president of the United States to ever say praise Allah.
Yeah,
There's something there, huh?
That's true. He is. Anyway, you're
Donald
right.
Trump has done something, though, I think, that is going to benefit us,
Which
is in the last 10 whatever years, has destroyed every norm, every rule of decorum.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And now, hopefully, we will rebuild with grace and peace and strength. Or
Chris, we go the opposite direction. We slide on this.
But I think we've realized that most of the rules were just made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah,
but
so the
was
decorum,
nice.
the norms were the things that people thought the president was supposed to do a certain way, follow a certain
Reagan
procedure,
never
all
took
this
off
stuff.
his jacket.
Whatever.
Right.
And some of them being superficial like that, but some of them being procedure as a president's operating in their role. And now he's proven that you can just do stuff.
Yeah.
And
Can I close with a story?
Please.
let's do it.
Because I had a very, very impactful thing happen. For the viewers at home,
When you start with impactful, I get worried.
I grew up in a very small conservative town. My dad died 15 years ago.
Okay.
And he was very blue collar.
I'm sorry for your loss, by the way.
Oh, thank you. He was very blue collar. He was part of the local VFW chapter. He was the vice commander in our hometown until he was deposed and then moved his membership to the neighboring town's VFW. It was quite a scandal. I needed some work done on my chimney. A buddy that I grew up with has a contracting business and sent over his mason referral. The guy shows up as an older guy wearing a black Make America Great Again hat, which means that he's classy.
Right.
And he's
full
Trumper.
Yeah.
With the Make America Great Again
But
hat.
black, not red.
And I have the rainbow flag up in my house. He's also wearing the VFW sweatshirt.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I said, hey, my dad was
Little
really
red.
involved with that. And then he said, oh, Bobby. And he knew my dad really well. And we had jokes. We joked about, as soon as he got that motorcycle, he knew. And I'm like, I know. I tried to tell him.
Wow.
Because he died in a motorcycle accident. So then he comes out. And so he looks at my chimney. The quote we had was for $10,000. He says, I can do it for $1,500.
Come on.
And then comes over this week and does it. Brings a friend over who rented my childhood home from my dad. Because after my mom died, my dad then moved and rented out my childhood home, and so rented out that house. So this guy that he also brought with him, grew up, lived in the house that I grew up in. So anyway, it's very, very meaningful that because I told that story to some other friends, they said, "Oh, you kicked him off your property, right? You didn't let him in the house." I'm like, "No, why would I do that?"
Yeah, right, exactly.
it turned out to be really special for all three of us, I think, to be able to share that story of my dad and
super cool.
come from different places.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
and it's good to know that there are good people of all colors and stripes.
Humanity, man. That's a beautiful thing. And it
People.
can be a beautiful thing. People, right. Yeah.
All right.
Religion and sex don't define who we are. They just define what we choose.
To do for fun.
That's right. Amen. And we're ending on that.
All right. Everybody have a great week.
Cheers.